News time is 7 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast. Brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Here's what we have coming up for you in news on this Monday. The Lincoln Police Department is combating homelessness locally through several partnerships. We highlight that effort coming up in news on this Monday. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and Social Security's latest, quote, podcast highlights scams. Those stories coming up in news on this Monday. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agents in Clinton. Homelessness and addiction are faced by communities all over the world. On the WHOW's First Responders Tour last week, Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister told Regional Radio they've partnered with the Logan County Health Department and other local organizations to create the Bridge program aimed at curbing the issue locally.
Right, so it began as the North Central Illinois Deflection Initiative, and this is a multi-agency response to trouble that we have in our community. So partnering with the Logan County Health Department, with Logan Mason Rosk, with Trinity Point, with Memorial Behavioral Health, with just, forgive me if I leave anybody out, a ton of different people are participating in this program, and they're all very important for the success of it. But that initiative aimed to help adults residing in Logan, Mason, and Menard counties with issues such as homelessness, mental health services, and substance use treatment services, which we're in dire need of. So that's what the Bridge program, which we just named it last week, aims to address. And Bridge stands for Building Recovery, Inclusion, Dignity, and Growth for Empowerment.
The chief indicates people can get involved with the Bridge program through self-referral, first responder referral, and officer intervention. He notes the goal of the program is to keep people out of the criminal justice system.
Again, our target population is that Tri-County area. We have several pathways that we would like to do deflection in, and they're self-referral, first responder referral, and then also officer intervention. So this will give us avenues to help get people into treatment who may otherwise be affected by the criminal justice system, have to deal with another arrest or another court case, and we have the option then to give them treatment instead of punishment. So from the police department standpoint, that can be beneficial because we've learned we can't arrest our way out of substance use problems. Some of these people are successful when they enter recovery, and every success is worth it.
The outpouring of support from all organizations involved, as well as the community, speaks volumes, says Chief Meister. He mentions their 3-day workshop where they had over 40 attendees from the area.
It speaks volumes to see. I think we had almost 40 people in the room last week. Yeah, we hosted a 3-day workshop down here at Hope on 5th, which is the old St. Clair's Manor on 5th Street in Lincoln, which is being redesigned into a place where people can go for all these services. It's going to house multiple agencies, provide shelter, provide treatment services. So looking at all those people in the room was really touching because I grew up west of here, and Menard County, where I grew up, was represented by somebody I hadn't seen in probably 20 years, but I've known all my life. And to see folks, even from a very small area like that, understand that we have a problem and what we've been trying forever isn't working. So getting people together to come up with a potential solution is just amazing.
The chief hopes the program gives people an opportunity to change their lives for the better. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and a Piatt County domestic violence advocate is hoping to raise awareness about not only for young people, but the adults around them. Andrea Coker is the Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County and indicates 1 in 3 teens in the U.S. will experience physical, sexual, or emotional abuse in a relationship they're in before they are an adult.
Teen dating violence is a little bit of a tricky topic because it's not one anybody wants to admit is going on. Parents don't want to think about their kids being involved or that their kids' friends or anything like that. So it can get a little bit tricky because there's a lot of denial from people who aren't living in it, and honestly people who are living it too, maybe more so than adult partner violence. But either way, it's a serious issue. In the U.S., 1 in 3 teens will experience some sort of relationship violence, whether it be physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. And that's just before they become adults. It's just the reality. Like, our kids are facing it. There's a lot of reasons why they're facing it. And to go with that, about half of U.S. college women do report that they've experienced some sort of dating violence in their past. So also the reality is they're 22 years old, and about half of them are saying they've been victim to that at some point, which is the numbers are huge.
The theme for this year's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, set by the group Love is Respect, is Respect That. Coker explains the theme is really centered around your personal boundaries.
So there's a national campaign for teen dating violence. It's hosted by the organization called Love is Respect. And this year, Love is Respect chose the kind of theme to concentrate on as Respect That. That's kind of their tagline. That's what they're after. Specifically, they're trying to make it so that respecting someone isn't just this vague idea or this catchphrase or something that we say that we want to do, but truly becomes like an action step or a mindset. So that truly respect for yourself, for others, is at the forefront and becomes something that we're doing and also expecting to be done to us. The theme, Respect That, highlights the importance of treating your partner with dignity, listening to their viewpoints, respecting their boundaries, valuing their autonomy, and truly just focusing that relation on respect, going both directions. I would say truly the biggest thing is not only setting boundaries, but truly figuring out what your boundaries are. Like, my boundaries are going to be different than somebody else's, but if I don't have a pretty good sense of self on what I want those to be, it's hard to enforce something that I don't have a pretty good grasp on what is. It's very important to kind of take your moral compass or your moral code and set what truly matters to you so that you can enforce what you want that to be for your life.
For a young person, having a good example at home goes a long way. Coker explains that many young people don't have a good example of healthy boundaries at home.
Good communication skills. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't argue or you have this adult relationship whenever you're a teen. But I think that the communication in general can go a long way for friendships, especially as kids and teens. Having kind of a stopping point for the relationship, and I don't mean stopping like in the relationship, but I mean, if we truly all could say, you know what, this feels weird, so I'm gonna stop. Even with friendships at this kind of developing age, those are really good barriers to set that threshold at and then kind of build on it from there. A lot of times people have a hard time coming up with establishing their boundaries or setting their boundaries because they've never had a good example of what that should look like. Their parents don't necessarily have good boundaries with their own relationship, but also with them. If they haven't been given that freedom to kind of explore who they are and figure that out, it's pretty tough to set boundaries whenever someone hasn't set boundaries toward you growing up. So I definitely wanted to hit on that. And also, it can be really hard at this age to tell the difference between liking someone, feelings of lust, hormones that are absolutely surging, and truly being in love with someone. So trying to navigate all of that while also trying to figure out what's healthy, what's not healthy, what am I supposed to be doing? I want this, but I feel this. And it's awful. It's just a terrible time to experience it. So toss in not having boundaries, not knowing what those should look like, and it's kind of no wonder that people end up in this situation.
Coming up still this month on Regional Radio, Coker has more information on healthy boundaries for young people and how to avoid setting up an unhealthy boundary. Get more information on all things Willow Tree Missions by visiting willowtreemissions.org. You can also follow them on social media. If reaching out locally is not something your teen is comfortable with, you can visit loveisrespect.org or text 22522. Scams are the topic of the latest episode put out by Social Security. It's not a podcast, says Jack Myers, but the information is presented in podcast form, and the newest episode's presenter is Rebecca Rhodes, who is the Senior Public Affairs Specialist with Social Security.
We're calling it a podcast. I don't know if Social Security officially calls it a podcast, but that's how you and I will describe it, because I don't know another way. But basically, if you go to our website, go to ssa.gov, probably the easiest way to get there is to scroll down and look for something that's called Communications Corner. And then once you're there, look for audio series. And then you'll find this thing called SSA Talks, where we've got a few episodes, just a variety of different topics. But something that's kind of interesting, especially given the fact that we're in the month of February, we're approaching Valentine's Day, and there's a discussion on scams. So you might wonder, what in the heck do scams and Valentine's Day have to do with one another? But this particular episode of SSA Talks is with Rebecca Rose. She's a Senior Public Affairs Specialist in our Office of Inspector General. So if you don't know what Office of Inspector General is, that's basically where they investigate fraud and scams and that sort of thing. And so, SSA's Office of Inspector General does a little bit of a discussion in this episode of SSA Talks. And one of the things that I think is real interesting with this discussion is not only does it talk about scams and how to identify them and hopefully, stop yourself from being a victim.
With Valentine's Day coming up, Myers felt it timely because the latest episode includes testimony from a widow who shares her story of losing $39,000 to a romance scam and offers advice on recognizing and reporting scams.
But they also included testimony from a woman named Kate Kleinert. And Kate is a widow who unfortunately lost $39,000 to a romance scam. And there's my connection to Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, a lot of these scammers will prey on different things, and loneliness is one of those things. And so these romance scams can really be terrible. They can cost people a lot of money. And as Kate will kind of tell you through testimony there, she's going to offer different things, advice on recognizing and reporting these scams, and hopefully we can help people avoid this sort of thing. That $39,000 obviously is a huge loss for anybody, and the problem with these scams, among many problems, is that once that money's lost, it's often lost in ways that make it pretty much unrecoverable. They're good at getting you to convert to gold or crypto or cash or any number of things that once they're gone, they're pretty much gone, and you can't get it back.
The SSA Talk series is available at ssa.gov/news/audio series, or visit ssa.gov, then scroll down to the Communications Corner and look for the audio series. It is 20 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. More to come on the morning show.
It's time to celebrate winter. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have extra savings on all new Chevrolets this month to celebrate the winter season. See our inventory of Chevrolet Trailblazers, Blazers, and the all-new Chevy Trax. We also have a larger, redesigned 7-passenger Traverse and a good selection of 24 and 25 Tahoes. See our winter celebration savings at BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time, 21 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Cover crops within a corn and soybean rotation has become a hot topic in research at the University of Illinois Extension, focusing on the ag side of managing these late fall and winter planting seasons is Nathan Johanning, commercial crop educator at Extension. He explains how crops are going to find their way in the field and what research is being done to see the conservation rates needed for a beneficial return with or without cattle grazing.
the benefits of having that cover crop out there. Even if you don't have cattle, it's out there to cover the soil. The cattle are just kind of an added bonus because you can harvest some of that, get some good feed at times when you don't have feed necessarily or as good a feedstock, and kind of trying to get more maybe bang for your buck out of your acres. So
Joe Hanning starts to share how optimizing the process is taking, and farmers need to know that the time and money spent is worthwhile, leading to greater returns.
Well, a lot of what we have is talking about obviously optimizing management. There's a whole realm of things that we could discuss, but we have some specific research projects over the last few years that are looking at cover crop seeding rates and planting dates in the fall. A lot of times, if we're working this in a corn and soybean rotation, we're trying to get harvest done. It's a tight window to try to plant another crop in the fall as well. So looking at, okay, if we can plant early, which maybe is late September, early October versus November, what are the benefits? What are the pros and cons? And not necessarily saying that one is right or wrong, but what's a realistic expectation? And so a lot of that, we have a lot of the biomass data looking at, say, cereal rye at different planting dates in the fall, and also different seeding rates, anywhere from 30 pounds up to 120 pounds of seed per acre. So trying to look across that gamut and if we plant, 30 pounds early, what does that give us versus planting 30 pounds, say, in the middle of November? And how does that vary, and looking across the seeding rate? So I think that's the biggest thing that we're kind of accomplishing. We're also looking at some different clovers, including crimson clover and balansa clover, and trying to understand how those can work. I think some of the things that Travis talked about really resonate as far as the opportunities. And certainly, as he mentioned, I'm focused more on the agronomy. He's the beef cattle side, but I think mixing those two together is a really nice pairing.
Learn more about cover crop management at extension.illinois.edu. The Dudley Smith Farm Field Day was last week in Christian County. Flu, COVID, RSV are all spiking at the same time and have been somewhat crippling for healthcare providers, and the flu continues to be the most prevalent across Illinois. Nearly 20% of emergency department visits were for acute respiratory illness, according to the Illinois Department of Public Health. Sarah Overton, Chief Nursing Officer at OSF Medical Group Home Care and Employee Health, says 7.8% of those visits are attributed to patients with the flu.
In the entire state of Illinois, all the way from Chicago, Rockford down to Alton, we're seeing respiratory illnesses, and I think the country is seeing it ultimately. And that's the siren notifications that came out from IDPH, just identifying that not only OSF, but other health systems are seeing this.
The flu makes you feel really bad with headaches, body aches, chills, coughs, and fevers, to name a few of the symptoms. Illinois' respiratory activity level, calculated by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, moved up to high in late December, dipped to moderate in January, and has returned to high to start February. State Ag Pest Survey Coordinator Kelly Estes is seeking interns for the 2025 growing season.
I still need some. My intern through HR, through everything has to be approved, and I just got the official job announcement and link yesterday, so that will be going out, and I'll probably be hiring 4 to 5 students for the summer, and so we'll be looking for able-bodied people that want to travel the state with me and search for interesting things. And then also, just really, we do a lot of monitoring of those ag pests and seeing what's out there. So they'll get a little bit of everything: corn, soybeans, invasive species. There's never a dull moment here.
The India and you can reach Estes via K-Cook, that's KCOOK 8, the number 8, at illinois.edu. The Illinois Ag Leadership Foundation class of 2025 is nearing the finish line. The final segment is an international trip to India and the UAE. Nicole Poston, a native of Alexis, is among the participants in the program. She is with the American Egg Board.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we all seem to highlight the most is the connections that we make with each other as a class. As Melissa said, we're here in Champaign right now during seminar, and just hearing everybody's updates and what's going on in their areas of ag, as we have a very diverse class, kind of hearing what's going on in their world has been great, but also hearing from past graduates and learning about their leadership journeys. So many of them could have never imagined where their paths would take them, yet their stories demonstrate the impact of connecting ag and leadership and groups like this. And their personal testimonials have been one of my favorites. Beyond that, the programs provided amazing training from several amazing, highly skilled presenters, and their depth of knowledge and insight and practical skills I've gained has been life-changing. It's been an incredible experience to learn from experts and my peers, and I know these takeaways will continue to kind of shape my life as I work through the rest of my career.
The India and UAE trip is from February 25th through March 11th. Those interested in applying for the class of 2027 can learn more at agleadership.org. 28 minutes after the hour on this Monday. Time now for a look at this morning's obituaries. 86-year-old Arlene B. Hoffman of Clinton passed away February 6th at her family residence in Clinton. Services for 86-year-old Arlene B. Hoffman will be this morning at 11 a.m. at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton, with Ernie Harvey Jr. officiating. Burial will follow at Memorial Park Cemetery in Clinton. The visitation is this morning from 10 to 11 a.m. at the funeral home. Memorials can be directed to the Clinton United Methodist Church or the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. 63-year-old Julianne McKee of Mount Zion passed away February 5th at her family residence. Services for 63-year-old Julianne McKee will be Saturday, February 15th at Calvert Funeral Home in Maroa, with Scott Marsh officiating. Burial will follow at Maroa Cemetery in Maroa. The visitation is 10 to 11 a.m. Saturday at the funeral home. Memorials can be directed to the American Diabetes Association. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Coverage of news today is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agents in Clinton. Coming up on 7:30 on this Monday, network news comes your way. Then a look at network sports, local sports on the way as well. Over the weekend, Clinton girls basketball, an easy win over Decatur Unity Christian. Monticello and Maroa-Forsyth fell at the Illini Prairie Sangamo Conference Shootout in Williamsville. Two separate games for the two local schools in shootout action in Williamsville.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Forecasters are watching another winter storm. It's moving across the country, coming on the heels of an earlier blast of ice and snow across parts of the east. President Trump not through with tariffs yet. Mr. Trump set to formally announce a 25% levy on imported steel and aluminum. Beyond that, Mr. Trump suggesting a tax on any and all countries that tax American imports. In the president's words, if they charge us, we charge them. Mr. Trump talked tariffs and other issues before last night's Super Bowl, which Mr. Trump did attend. And about the big game, it was a 40-22 blowout victory for the Eagles over the Kansas City Chiefs. McDonald's fourth quarter in its home market, the U.S., nothing to write home about, but same-store sales did surge in markets overseas. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures up 222 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Share 55.
Quick SRN Sports. I'm George Williams. Super Bowl 59 is in the books. And if Fly, Eagles, Fly is the Philadelphia football fight song for the Eagles fans, their team did not disappoint with a convincing 40-22 victory over the two-time defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. The story of the game really was the first half, a dominating performance by Philadelphia. Their offense scored the first 10 points of the game, and their defense shut down the explosive Chief offense, holding them to only 23 yards with just one first down. Mahomes had one interception that was returned for a touchdown, and then the second one on the ensuing drive led to a second Eagles touchdown. Philadelphia went into the half leading 24-0, never looked back. Eagle quarterback Jalen Hurts was the game MVP, 17 for 22, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, running for 72. Kansas City would score 3 late touchdowns, but to no avail. Philly wins its second Lombardi Trophy since 2018. This is SRN Sports. In other sports action yesterday, NBA play, Pistons over the Hornets 112-102. Rockets down the Raptors 94-87, and it was the Bucks over the 76ers 135-127. Only 2 NHL games in a shootout. Utah down the Capitals 5-4, and the Lightning beat the Canadiens 5-3. College basketball, 17th-ranked Memphis, a winner over Temple 90-82, and 18th-ranked Maryland beat Rutgers 90-81. Pro golf, the Waste Management Tournament in Scottsdale, that's the Stadium course, and Thomas Dietrich, a journeyman on the PGA Tour, won by a convincing 7 shots, 24 under par over Daniel Berger, Michael Kim, and the field. And some good news in sports. ESPN's Dick Talley received a standing ovation during the Clemson-Duke game, returning to the broadcast booth after his 4th bout with cancer, and it was an incredible game with Clemson upsetting Duke. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Four players scored in double figures, and Clinton easily rolled to an 83-28 victory over Decatur Unity Christian Saturday in non-conference high school girls basketball action at Clinton High School. Reagan Filkins scored 25 points, while Clara Dempsey added 20 points for the Lady Maroons, who led 41-9 at the half. Lila Kluver scored 15 points. Alania Helfland and Avery Smith chipped in with 10 points apiece. The Clinton improves to 23-5 overall. They will travel to Mount Pulaski tonight. Late last week, it was announced Clinton will open regional play as a 7th seed, taking on Normal U High Saturday, February 15th at 2 p.m. in Clinton. The winner advances to take on Bloomington Central Catholic on Tuesday, February 18th at the BCC Regional. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, the shorthanded Monticello Sages could not take advantage of a career night for sophomore Matthias Rudolph as they fell 57-49 in Illini Prairie Sangamo Conference shootout action Saturday in Williamsville. Rudolph scored a career-best 19 points as he stepped into the starting lineup for the first time Saturday for Nolan Bennykemper, who was out for personal reasons. The Sages sophomore scored the first 4 points and helped Monticello bounce back from an early deficit to lead 14-13 after the first quarter. But Blue Jays senior Griffin McClure poured in 25 points to lead all scorers. The senior hit a big 3 late in the 4th when Monticello had closed a once 12-point deficit to 4. A late Sages rally was aided by poor free throw shooting by Porta, AC Central. They finished 7 of 17 from the foul line. Monticello's offensive woes continued, though, as the Sages shot just 38.5% from the floor and 3 of 25 from 3. Gatsby Grant scored 14 points for the Sages, who lost their 3rd straight and have lost 4 of its last 5 games. The Serve Pro of Piatt DeWitt County's player of the game was the sophomore, Matthias Rudolph. Saturday's shootout was the final installment of the event that has been taking place for roughly 5 years. The Sages will host Pontiac on Tuesday night. Robert Boyd-Means scored 19 points and carried Paxton Buckley Loda past Maroa-Forsyth 60-35 Saturday from the Illini Prairie Sangamo Conference shootout in Williamsville. Brady Doss led the Trojans with 12 points. Cabron Lee added 11 points. Maroa-Forsyth is 10-11 overall. They will host Williamsville Tuesday night. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.